So this first recording of mathematics is a basic summary of the topic, or what is called a strand, geometry. Geometry is a strand, meaning that mathematics is broken into different sections. And one of the sections of mathematics is geometry. So what I'm looking at is just a quick summary of geometry and the different things that you find when you are learning about geometry. So the first thing that you're going to hear about is angles. And now I'm not going to teach the angles in this particular video recording, but an angle is basically the space that you find when you put two lines together. So once I have a line, any line, and then I connect that line to another line in any way, there is going to be a space here. Now you will notice that the space that is provided, that space is curved. So you can't take a normal ruler and measure a curved line. A ruler cannot measure a curved line. So when you have curved spaces like this, it is called an angle. The space between two lines is called an angle. As you can see, there is a vertex here. Vertex is a point or a corner. There is obviously going to be a point. So if I have an arrow has a point, and it also has a little space, and that space is called an angle. And what you will see, the first thing in geometry that you come across is the different things that you need to know about angles. But I'm going to go forward from here, and I'm going to go down a bit to what I want to show you for today. So there is other things here which we will go through during the course of this week with regards to angles. And when we finish with angles, we're going to also look at shapes. Now there is something missing on this particular document that I will have to send separately, but one type of shape is called a plane shape. A plane shape is a shape that only has two dimensions. Now, two dimensions meaning I could have equal dimensions, so a square just has sides. A rectangle can have long sides and short sides. Two dimensions. The two dimensions of a rectangle, you should all be aware, is the length and the breadth. So when we talk about the word dimension, it means that you can have long sides and short sides, or you could have sides that are all equal. So a plane shape, one of the first, well actually this is the first shape, it's a triangle. The first one will be a triangle because a triangle has three sides. Then from the triangle, you will learn about the different kinds of triangles that there are before you go to the quadrilateral. The quadrilateral, the word itself, quadrilateral, deals with shapes that have four sides. Now, usually when you talk to children, they tell you, yes, a four-sided shape is a square, or a four-sided shape is a rectangle. But that's not definitely true. A four-sided shape is a quadrilateral. There are different types of quadrilateral, and that's what I will go through with you first. The different types of quadrilateral are a square, rectangle, parallelogram, rhombus, kite, trapezium. Those are the types you have to learn. I believe I counted 6 there. A square is a four-sided shape where all four sides are equal. So if I say that one side is 5, everybody will be 5. A rectangle is also a four-sided shape, but the four-sided shape has two sides that are long and two sides that are shorter. It's called a length and a breadth. So you have opposite sides. These two are equal. So if I tell you here is 10, automatically down here is also 10. If I say this is 5, automatically this side is also 5. Because a four-sided shape that is a rectangle, the opposite sides are equal. Square, all the sides are equal. Rectangle, opposite sides are equal. A parallelogram, I like to just tell children, easiest thing to remember is a parallelogram is a slanted rectangle, right? A rhombus is kind of, and I want to be clear that the word is kind of, not is, it is kind of like a slanted square, right? If you look at the rhombus, all of the sides are equal, just like the square. So if here is 5, everybody around is 5. But it's kind of spread it out a bit. It's spread out in such a way that it looks a bit wide. It's not like the square where everything looks straight. So the rhombus is like a square and the parallelogram is like a rectangle. The parallelogram has slanted sides like this. Now we will go into a lot more details, but for now, just for today, I just need you all to know about these shapes. One thing to keep in mind as I have them on the screen, learn to spell the word parallelogram by heart. Learn to spell the word rhombus by heart. When we say rhombus, we tend to say R-O because you hear rhombus, or R-U because you hear rhombus, right? It's R-H. A kite. Well, if you have ever watched anything on television, you see kites always look like this. But I want you to note that with the kite, if you look at the rhombus is equal. The top half is equal to the bottom half of the shape. But when you look at the kite, I have two triangles, but the top triangle is smaller than the bottom triangle. So there's a difference between the kite and the rhombus. When you look at the shapes, you will realize the kite has a top side, which is usually like a triangular piece, and it's smaller than how this triangle here looks. If you look at the difference in the triangle. So this is another one, the kite. And the last one is the trapezium. The trapezium is a shape that has one pair of opposite sides that are parallel. We'll go into a little more details of that, but when you look at a trapezium is not like a rectangle because the rectangle doesn't have that slanted kind of look. And it's not like the parallelogram because the parallelogram, when you go up and you look at the parallelogram, I can draw back one here. The slants are on the same direction. So this is the slant for the parallelogram. They are the same direction. But when you look at the slants on the trapezium, if you look at this slanted line here, it slants that way, but this one slants the opposite direction. So what I need from you today is to just make sure, in particular, these 6, you become accustomed to hearing about them, seeing them, what do they look like, right? Pay attention to how they are drawn. These are very, very important. The types of quadrilateral, they bring number of questions with regards to quadrilateral. Squares, rectangles, parallelogram, rhombus, kite, and trapezium. So make sure you read and learn about these shapes for me today.